Boys, he has done it again. Incineroar has won the first online tour of Regulation F. In case you guys didn't know, Nino Poke Bros hosted a Regulation F tour yesterday that had roughly, I think, about 70 odd players in it. And as you can see here, Rayquaza with his Incineroar team has gone on to win the entire event. Now look, I'm not going to get super in depth with a lot of these teams. Today is kind of just exploring and just discussing the general, general ideas of a lot of these teams. As you can see, there are quite a few, just Regulation E teams here. We have a, a Lily Cole team. We also have just like a 222 Dozo. Also another pretty standard, like Urshi plus Tornado's Rain team. So a lot of teams like that we're not going to really look at because obviously we knew what they did in Regulation E. And because we're so early in Regulation F, like it literally only came out on Showdown yesterday as well. So we really have not had that much time to actually, test out the new mons. So that's, I guess, a big reason why a lot of people are just kind of bringing what they used in Regulation E, just to kind of see, I guess, what other people are running in Reg F. But anyway, let's jump into the teams here and yeah, kind of just discuss, I guess, what was working and what cool stuff we might be able to see in the near future. So kicking us off, of course, we have Rayquaza here, who ends up winning the entire tournament using Incineroar. Now, this was a safety goggles Incin with Terra Fairy, which I do think is kind of interesting. Personally, I was, talking to some of the boys over the weekend, and really, I did say I think Incineroar will either opt for Ghost or Fairy. The main reason really is that fighting weakness, right? Obviously, things like Grass could be really good as well if you go opt for something like Citrus Berry. And, obviously Grass helps you out into Amoonguss. Water is also just a really good, neutral typing. But really, they were kind of the four terrors I did think Incin would kind of lean towards, with Fairy or Ghost being, in my opinion, the best ones. And then Goggles, really good if you're, kind of scared of Amoonguss. But Citrus Berry, I think if you've got answers to it, right? If you've got, a decently fast Taunt Mon, or you've got options like we have here with Amoonguss and Golden Go. But honestly, this was just a, not really a standard team, but a somewhat standard team. This is just like Urshi Rain with Chien-Pao, Golden Go, Amoonguss. A pretty standard team here, and they've just slapped Incin in. I'm sure it's probably just a better Intimidate Mon than what they originally had on this team. If I had to guess, that slot was probably originally Hisuian Arcanine, and they're just like, you know what, our Side Spam matchup isn't the best, just slap Incin on, and it kind of just fixes it up. But yeah, look, definitely a cool team to see Incin on here, and seeing it work in Rain too is actually pretty cool. We'll also have a quick look at Raph's team here just to see what Incin he was running. But again, this is a relatively standard team. As you see, this is just Manual Rain plus Urshi with just, 5 good mons and there's a new Incin. This is Citrus Berry Dragon though. Same moveset, I actually didn't touch on it then, but Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Knockoff, and Parting Shot. I do expect this to be the standard in the early format. I definitely think we could, also see that maybe adapt into things like Assault Vest with Snarl and Throat Chop. Obviously U-Turn as well if you're going for, things like Assault Vest. There's also options as well for, potentially Taunt on Incineroar. If you are that scared of Amoonguss, and potentially you've got switch-ins to it, then also running, Taunt on this is also a decent option. But Dragon, very solid, it helps you out with obviously the water weakness. It also makes you pretty good into, the all the Ogre Pawns really outside of the Rock one, but even then it's, an average matchup there anyway. You can Intimidate, you can Parting Shot out, Fake Out, all that good stuff. But then moving on, we have the 6th place team here that went 7-2. Now, this is a bit cooler team because we do have 2 new mons. Obviously, once again, we see the Incin, and you actually see the Assault Vest here with the, the Terra Fairy, Blitz, Snarl, U-Turn, and Fake Out. So no knockoff on this set. But they did opt for the Snarl, which I do think, is pretty good because obviously, just having options like Terra Fairy plus Snarl can be really good into, things like Chi-Yu, for example. Also Flutterman and just some of the other, special attackers. There are things like, of course, Raging Bolt that are also running around that we'll definitely see shortly. But the other main one I kind of wanted to look at here is the Primarina. Now, this is Life Orb 3 attack with the Stellar Terra type, which I did actually think was also really cool, right? You've got Hyper Voice buffed up by your Liquid Voice, Moonblast just being your best stab, and then Energy Ball as well, just being another great option, into some of the mons you want to like potentially pick up, say for example, like a Terra Water Urshifu. Moonblast obviously is, great into it, but if they go Terra Water, Energy Ball is just, a bit better there. But again, look, this is I don't want to say a standard team, but this is just kind of, a just Tornado's Tailwind team. I do really like this team just because, like, if you look at this, like this team, right, this is kind of a balanced team with these 5 mons, right? Or not like balanced, but they're not insanely fast. So to me, Tornadus is kind of there to be like a bulky, Rocky Helmet mon. And then also just gives good speed control, to these other 5 mons here, right? Because these 5, they function pretty well without the Tailwind there. So, they're pretty decent into Trick Room, but they're also, really good, obviously, if they get that little bit of extra speed control, especially mons like Primarina. If you're playing this into like a balance versus balance where your opponent also doesn't have Tailwind, Primarina can definitely be very clutch. Moving into the 6-3s here, we have Aldrich here. Now, again, this is a pretty standard team. We looked at a team very similar to it before. This is just like Incineroar Rain. More or less just want to look at the set. Yeah, this is basically what we saw before. Cool to see the Lando here paired up with the Pelipper. But yeah, the instant set is, you know, it's basically pretty standard. It's exactly what we expected. But then this 8th place team here, this is a team that really caught my attention. I did look at this prior. I will also throw out that this is actually not Terrakion. This is Iron Boulder, I believe. I believe Terrakion's pitch is just a placeholder. As you can see, it does have the Mighty Cleave here, Zen Headbutt, and the other Close Combat. This is just a Life Orb set. Really, really cool. I think this one has a lot of potential. I personally think that on a set like this, maybe Booster Speed would have been better. But obviously, I have to test out the team. But this is really cool, right? This is where you start seeing a lot of new Pokemon. As a matter of fact, all 6 of them are new Pokemon. The one that really caught my eye, though, was Electabuzz. Now, yesterday, you know, during my ladder sessions, one thing I ran into a lot was a lot of these beat up teams, right? And I'll go through them probably in a video later today or tomorrow. But essentially what people were doing, they were using Whimsicott as a beat up mon. They were pairing it with Weakness Policy, Armarouge. They were pairing it with Stamina, Duraludon, and then of course Terrakion with Justify, right? And it basically just gave you like 3 different potential leads, and then on top of that there was also just like Psy Spam on top of it. And then I also think Iron Crown was also seeing a bit of play on those teams as well, just because like you go like Choice Scarf plus Expanding Force. So yeah, there were a lot of these teams. So like me and one of the homies, we were sitting there talking, we're like, well, like what are the answers to, you know, beat this Whimsicott beat up stuff, right? Obviously there are things like Amoonguss, which unfortunately does just lose to Psy Spam, but also Amoonguss doesn't redirect Whimsicott because it's a grass type. So then we were looking at, you know, like the Follow Me mons, right? And then you think about, well, Indeedee not bad, but then like, you know, sometimes you don't want to give them the psychic terrain, right? Then there's other options as well, you know, like Clefairy, Clefable, and we, you know, we were kind of talking about, you know, potentially Rocky Helmet options, but it just didn't really feel like there was that many good Rocky Helmet, you know, redirection mons. And 2 of the ones we actually did touch on were Electabuzz and Magmar. Now, the reason these 2 mons are really interesting is their abilities Static and Flame Body, right? So when you pair Electabuzz up with, you know, a Violet and its ability Static, and then you slap Follow Me on it, yeah, this mon can actually get kind of bulky. It's nothing too crazy, but you know, with Terra Grass, you are able to, you know, take, you know, I believe you can EV to live 2 from a Urshifu. If it goes like Terra Water plus Rain, then you can't take 2. As a matter of fact, I think if it goes either Terra Water or Rain, you can't take 2. But yeah, it is still a really cool mon, especially because it has, you know, the ability to static them, especially into things like Shifu. It's also really good into things like Whimsicott as well, right? It kind of, you know, slows them down from, you know, wanting to click their beat ups. And then on top of that, you know, it just has a pretty decent, you know, Thunderbolt, and Electro Web is never a bad thing, right? Having a redirection mon with speed control is always good. But then moving on to Incin, the exact same set we've seen before. It's Fairy, Goggles, same 4 moves. Primarina showing up once again. This one's slightly different. This is a Calm Mindset with Hyper Voice and Moonblast with Terra Dragon, which I do think is very cool. Obviously, Dragon's fantastic. It helps out with your Grass weakness, helps out with your Electric weakness as well. But I do think that is really nice. This Whimsicott is just a pretty cool one as well. Definitely not what I've been testing, but it's Focus Sash with Ghost, which I do think is still very good. Protect, Tailwind, Taunt, and Energy Ball. Tailwind, Taunt is just such a good, you know, combo. And on a team like this, you don't really need anything like Fake Tears. Encore as well would have been interesting to see if they ran that in the Protect slot, but obviously that's something you'll have to test more as time goes on. And then the final member is the AV Metagross here with Terra Water, Clear Body. This is just a good set, right? With Clear Body and Bullet Punch, you can always put a lot of pressure onto Fluttermanes. Then you got Iron Head, Ice Punch, and Stomping Tantrum. Ice Punch obviously really good into things like Landorus, also D-Nut as well. I have seen a little bit of play. And then yeah, just Iron Head, it's your, you know, arguably your best stab outside of obviously Bullet Punch giving you priority. And then Stomping Tantrum, just great coverage, right? It helps you hit the steel types you couldn't hit before. But yeah, really cool team there. Moving down the list here, what else do we have? Oh yes, this team. So I believe this team was actually built with Sempra. One of the homies actually sent me this team as well yesterday, and I actually did do a little bit of testing with it. This is not Raikou, by the way. This is Raging Bolt. You know, the new Paradox Raikou. But this team is really cool. Again, utilizing a lot of new mons. We do have the Incin here, you know, pretty standard set, except it's got the Terra Water. Araquanid is really cool. Clear Amulet plus Terra Water with Water Bubble is awesome. Like, Liquidation does so much damage coming off this set. P2, you know, getting a bit of love here. Definitely one of the best Trick Room setters we have. It's got that Bolt Beam coverage paired up with Download. Really cool mon. I personally would like to see Ghost be tested a bit more, but I definitely think Fairy is also really good, right? It gets rid of your one weakness, which is, you know, fighting, and it's also just a pretty decent, you know, neutral defensive typing. Obviously, Brian Hands, Amoonguss, pretty standard when it comes to Trick Room teams. And then finally, Raikou. The Calm Mind Raikou, I think, was actually really cool on this team. because, you know, if your opponent ever, you know, like got out, like was able to stall out your Tailwind, they still had to deal with a Raikou that was, you know, or sorry, a Raging Bolt that was, you know, probably +1, potentially even +2, depending how you were able to play it. But yeah, this was a really cool Trick Room team. I'll probably put out a pace for the variant in which I used again in the next day or two. I plan on doing a video on like a couple of early teams to use. So, I mean, if that's something you're interested in, obviously stick around, you know, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, hopefully in the next day or two, you'll see something like that. But anyway, moving on. Do we have any more cool teams here? Yeah, this looks like, is this a Sun team? Please be a Sun team. I hope this is Sun. Dude, Rain Dance with this team? Why? I mean, it's for its own Bleakwind Storms, but damn, look, you got 3 mons that want to get buffed up by Sun. I don't know, I'm personally just a huge fan of Sun plus Air Slash on Tornadus, but I know I'm in the minority on that one. But yeah, look, a relatively standard, you know, Tornadus team here. You got the Flutter Torn, Amoonguss, paired up with the Incin, which I do think will definitely take, you know, a place on these teams going forward. But a really cool adaptation here as well is that Throat Chop in the knockoff slot. Basically, for anyone who doesn't know why you run Throat Chop on Incin over knockoff, is because you can Throat Chop, Parting Shot, and Snarl. So, for example, you know, if you run like fast Incin, you can basically just stop your opponent's ability to just like, you know, pivot out with their, you know, their parting shots, which is very, very clutch. And then also too, you know, there are just a couple other mons, right? We see Primarina picking up, you know, with Hyper Voice and whatnot. So Throat Chop is just always really, really clutch. Especially too as well here. Some of the Raging Bolts are also running like AV plus Snarl. I've seen that a little bit on ladder. I am actually kind of surprised that they've run Terra Blast, Terra Steel on this. Because I do think Snarl is like just super, super valuable in that last set on the Raging Bolt. And then finally, Walking Wake, a very offensive set. The Fire Flamethrower set, Dragon Pulse and Hydro Steam. I actually do like Deep Pulse. I was running Draco, but I feel like I missed that move all the time. So honestly, not bad. But I definitely think Terra Fire plus Flamethrower is a really, really good set on Walking Wake. It's one of the sets I have personally tested. And unfortunately, this play did actually go 6-2. So I would have liked to have seen, you know, if they could have gone maybe a little bit further in, you know, in the tour. But do we have any other cool teams? You have another standard Lily Cole team here. Is this one of the beat up teams? Because you can also beat up your Annihilate as well, for those who didn't know. This is not beat up. This is on... Oh, no, it is beat up. Okay, it is beat up Terra Steel. So yeah, this is kind of similar to one of the sets I was looking at running. Also, Ogerpawn Water. I was touching on like Follow Me mons earlier. Ogerpawn Water is another really good option for that as well. But yeah, you've got the Annihilate plus the Whimsicott here. I almost said Mousehold. And then the other stuff's just good stuff, right? You got Follow Me and DD. You've got Set Up Ogerpawn. Yeah, that's kind of just like good stuff there. It's like Whimsape and just good stuff, really. Anything else cool? I know that's not a Cobalion. That's a... Yeah, look, we'll check out Donk's team here. What are you running here? You're not a Cobalion, are you? Yeah, Quick Guard, Dual Wing Beat, Psychic. What the hell is that? That actually might just be... No, it's Abilities Quark Drive. Yeah, so it's not. Is that meant to be Tachyon Cutter and they just don't have it? And then, like, it's fine you're running Psychic. I'm confused. That should be Tachyon Cutter always. Citrus Berry, though, you know, bulky. Quick Guard actually is also kind of cool as well. But yeah, look, rest of the team, pretty standard. Incin, once again, Goggles Fairy. Dude, everyone's just going Goggles Fairy with the same 4 moves, it feels like. Yeah, anyway, moving on. We are starting to slowly get down the list now. Anything cool here? Anything cool? Duraludon. I'm assuming this is not actually Duraludon. Yeah, nah, it's the Stamina set. Yeah, so this is the beat up set. Wait, no way you can pop bomb it. Oh, you can pop bomb it to get max. Okay, I see. So, like, I'm assuming, yeah, like, it's gonna be, like, Friend Guard and then, like, maybe no attack, and then you just pop on your Archaludon to get max defense, and then you start body pressing everything, dude. That's actually kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. Rest of the team, again, it's just standard, right? It's, you know, we know what these mons do, yeah. But, dude, Pop Bomb plus Stamina is actually sick. Another Incin plus, I'm guessing, yeah, Thunderclap, yeah. That's another Incin just plus Raging Bolt there. Again, we have Terra Water Figgy Berry this time with Taunt. Okay, nice adaptation with the Taunt there. Obviously, no knockoff, which I guess you don't necessarily need knockoff, but it's always nice to have it. And then, yeah, just this guy here. It looks like he's just Speed Boosted Terra Electric, 3 attacks protect, which I also do think is actually pretty good. I think Raging Bolt with Terra Electric is just, yeah, pretty solid. And that's really it, I guess, for the teams here. I mean, we can keep going down the list, but, you know, we see Sempra here as well. He ends up going 3-3 with a pretty good resistance, but obviously, you know, we see the exact same team a little further up here going 6-2. Is there any other cool stuff here we need to look at? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of looking at the bottom of the list because this is where you start getting a lot of the weirder stuff. Like you see this like Sun Sand hybrid team. Oh, Smeagol. We actually didn't see any high Smeagol's. What's this guy running on his Smeagol? Sash, Moody, Sport, ESP, Ruination, Lunar Blessing. I actually feel like I played against this guy on ladder. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, is that it? Like, is there anything else cool to look at here? I mean, we got like Manual Sun with Wims and Venusaur. I'm a big Venusaur fan, so I do hope it starts to see a bit more play. We got a Porygon Z at 1 and 2. Entei. This is surely not. Okay, it is just Entei. I thought it was going to be the Paradox version. Wait, a Zacian? Wait, actually, I also think I saw a Lunala earlier. I'm assuming this guy brings in his Zacian and then he gets told he can't use it, and because of that, he's playing 5 months without his Zacian. Which is, yeah, kind of sad. But yeah, look, anyway, guys, that's it for those teams. I thought it'd just be fun to take a look at what some of the people were using here in the Nino Tour. As I said, we had like 70 odd players here, 66. So yeah, it's not, not too bad here. We get to, see a decent showing. Obviously, Incin is just everywhere already. The guy just got 5 top 8 placements. And even then, the ones where he doesn't get it, like we've got a Hisuian Arcanine here, 222 Dozo, and then like Psy Spam Sunroom, right? Oh, actually, that's something I didn't actually touch on. I'll quickly touch on it here because I kind of skipped over it. Hat could be the new Psy Spam guy because he gets E-Force back. Yeah, so that's I guess that's kind of cool. We might not actually see Armarouge on every size spam team anymore, especially with some of the ones getting it as well, like Iron Crown. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this one. I guess let me know what you think of these teams down below. Let me know if there's any ones you think are currently being slept on, because again, I'm just gonna be spamming the ladder the next 2 days. I'm gonna try to get out as much content in the near future about some of the teams I'm seeing, some of the teams I'm using, what I'm having success with, what I'm not, all that good stuff. I'll let you know. And yeah, let me know what you guys want me to talk about as well. That'd be great. But yeah, anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.